Confluence, the 16th in a series of songs and explanation by Dave Moorman. While Dave and Sherry were in Fredericksburg with his folks, the annual conference kept wondering when he was coming back. The district superintendents are constantly trying to match pastors and churches, and they needed him. But he had to tell them that his dad had more than a month and less than a year, and then he would be available for an appointment when the time came. After Bill died, Dave made contact with the conference, and when the funeral was over, one of the DSs had lined up a place. The fate of Lodestar Disc magazine was set, and on the way to Dave's introduction to the churches, they stopped at Shreveport, Louisiana, to finish the deal with Fender Tucker and his wife Judy, who turned the entire enterprise over to the Mormons, and gave them the subscription money already collected. The appointment was to 3 little churches in southeastern Colorado. Dave looked up Holly on MapQuest, and saw that the town was very much like where he grew up. As they rolled into town, he looked down Main Street, and there was a Santa Fe Railroad station just as he remembered in Nickerson. Dave felt that God was telling him that not only was the ordained ministry for him, but this was where he was needed. They dashed back to Fredericksburg and started packing, pitching, and giving away. Now it was a real deadline. Dave was scheduled to preach on a given Sunday in November. Of course, they had too much stuff and had to tow a trailer rather than the car. So they both drove all the way. When they got to West Virginia, the truck blew a tire. The tire repairman was there in just a couple of hours. Through the night, they crossed Ohio, Indiana, and Illinois, hitting St. Louis just in time for morning traffic. Having a car following the truck and trailer made moving through traffic a bit easier. When they needed to change lanes, the car in the back would pull over first, then slow to let the truck in. By the time they got to High Hill, Missouri, they realized that at the speed of the truck, they would never make it to Holly in time. So they got a motel room and parked the truck and trailer. Now they could fly, taking turns at the wheel. They were both wasted by the time they got to Junction City, Kansas. So they took a room and slept for a few hours. The next stop was Garden City, Kansas, arriving at 2 in the morning. This gave them a chance to sleep and get ready for church, which was just a couple of hours away. After the sermon, they had to go to Lamar to see the new bishop who was visiting. Then Dave discovered that he was scheduled for 2 nursing home services. Immediately, they drove back to Missouri to retrieve the truck. Their stuff from Platteville was in storage, so in a few days the movers had picked it up and delivered everything to the parsonage. The last step of their journey was to repack the things for Mom, and take it all to Albuquerque, dropping off the truck and trailer at a U-Haul place there. Which all goes to prove the old saying. A preacher has a hard time crossing the street to hear a sermon, but will travel thousands of miles to give one. Dave had 3 churches: Bristol, Granada, and Holly. Bristol and Granada were very small, and while they each had their own organization, and United Methodist Women, they met together on Sunday, back and forth every month. They had 2 6-week periods so they could take turns hosting Easter and Christmas. These were good-natured and faithful people, working hard to share life and love with the world. Holly was just like Dave's hometown. The business district was 2 blocks long, with 2/3 of the buildings occupied. They had an active commercial club, which saw that a weekly newsletter was published with local stories and advertising. There were cliques, because all small towns are held together by cliques. And yet, the office of pastor gave Dave and Sherry a place in the community. Thanks for listening. Be sure to click like and subscribe to hear more of Dave's life in music.